Okay. I now call to order the City Council meeting of July 11th, 2022. The time is 7 p.m. Opening prayer, Jamie.
Heavenly Father, we come to you this hour asking your blessing and help as we gather together. We pray for guidance in the matters at hand and ask that you would clearly show us how to conduct our work with a spirit of joy and enthusiasm. Give us the desire to find ways to excel in our work. Help us to work together and encourage each other to excellence. We ask that you would challenge each other to reach higher and farther, to be the best we can be. We ask this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic of the nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Ben, would you please call the roll?
Member McLeister? Here. Member Waring?
Here.
Member Shora?
Here.
Member Volt?
Here.
Member Matheny?
Here.
Member Orr?
Here.
Member Wyrick is absent, sixth present.
Motion to excuse Member Wyrick.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. May I have a motion and a second to approve as presented the minutes from June 21st, 2022, the June quarter's second quarter financial reports, and the codified updates to chapters 155, 193, 703, and 1136.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to recognition of the public. At this time, members of the public wishing to address City Council may do so. Each speaker will be given 5 minutes to speak. The rules are on the screen to the audience's right. As a reminder, please begin by stating your name and address. City officials seated at the dais will not respond to the speakers during the 5 minutes. Anyone wishing to address council?
Chuck Osborne, 307 Fairview Street, Southeast, North Canton, Ohio. My comments tonight are in regards to the proposed charter amendment to establish 4-year term of office for North Canton elected officials, which is up for its third reading as ordinance number 47-2022. As I have pointed out in previous readings for this proposal, this change in no way benefits the citizens of North Canton. Under our current 2-year residency requirement, a new citizen could have to reside in the city nearly 4 years before having an opportunity to run for office. Increasing terms of office to 4 years would result in new residents having to live in North Canton for nearly 6 years before having an opportunity to run for office. Proposed 4-year terms stifle interested candidates from running for elected office, leading to more non-competitive elections. 2-year terms have been the foundation of this country's congressional offices since the beginning of this country. A member of this council, Darrell Revolt, was an aide to former Congressman Ralph Regular for many years and lived through the many 2-year election cycles while with former congressmen. Mr. Rowe could probably speak to all of us about our democratic system of government and the fact that citizens can regularly choose their elected representatives. Mr. Revolt has lived through many 2-year election cycles since first being elected himself to serve the citizens of North Canton as far back as 1983. I would think an individual with a PhD in history and a lifetime in government service would have an innate respect for the process of government that he has immersed himself in for most of his life. One must ask, did the 2-year election process fail the citizens of North Canton? I do not understand why some of you are in support of a change to a 4-year term of office. 2-year terms have also been the foundation of our democratic process here in North Canton since this community started as a village in 1906. Upon the adoption of a city charter in 1961, when North Canton became a city, 2-year terms of office continued. This practice continued because it worked for the citizens over the last 116 years. It has allowed citizens to regularly review the representation of their current office holder and decide if a change is needed. The proposed change to 4-year terms is ironically a desire by members of this body who have yet to complete one 2-year term on city council. This is a self-serving proposal that in no way benefits the citizens you have sworn to serve. This reminds me of a term that has come into use in the 2000s. The term is side hustle. It is defined as a means of making money alongside one's main form of employment or income. To all the downsides I have already detailed regarding the proposed switch to 4-year terms, I will add one last observation. The proposal for 4-year terms is an attempt by council to create an extended side hustle. This proposal allows council members safety and protection from the 2-year election cycle that citizens depend on. Vote no on ordinance number 47, 2022. Citizens deserve to elect their representatives every 2 years. If you serve the citizenry, they will vote you back in office. Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to address council tonight? Okay. Moving on to old business. Can I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 47-2020?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance, an ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of altering the terms of office of elected officials of the city of North Canton and thereby establish 4-year alternating terms beginning on January 1st.
John?
Yeah, before we get into this ordinance, there are, the next 6 ordinances I'll be reading or will be read. I think after heavy thought and stuff, voter fatigue could come up on several of these because they are going to be, when they're put on the ballot, it's going to be some lengthy language. Some of the stuff needs to be done and done now. Others of the stuff, I don't necessarily think it's that important. So 7A and 7D and 7E are definite yeses in my opinion. The rest, I think, can wait for the next election or farther out. But those 3, I definitely think should be passed tonight. So this is the 3rd reading on ordinance 47, 2022. It is the 4-year alternating terms. I think it's what North Canton needs. So I would make a motion.
Second.
Oh, wait, no, go ahead, Darrell.
Joe?
I have a comment,
Sure.
if I might. I appreciate Mr. Osborne's comments and opinion regarding the merits of a 2-year versus a 4-year term. But for those who are listening and will be reading the transcript later, I think it's important to note that at the local level, many municipalities, I think actually majority of municipalities, have 4-year terms for their councils. Township trustees run on a 4-year term, as do county commissioners. Mr. Osborne referenced Congress. Yes, Canton runs on a 4-year term. Mentioned Congress. And I think it's probably most people don't realize that in the even year when a congressman is running, there's virtually no legislative activity from Labor Day to the election. I'm not sure that I would agree with the assessment that this is some sort of side hustle. The reality is, I think, and I've looked back over X number of years, since '81, when I've been involved, I don't think a council is as productive as it could be if we had 4 years. Typically what happens is the work tends to grind to a slow halt, and frankly, when we have an election, there are always opportunities for mischief that don't always work in the public favor, and I won't drive down that road. But I'm not sure at the end of the day that we get the full 18 months or full 24 months out of our council because everybody's getting geared up for a campaign. We'll just leave it at that. I think the other thing is this, and Mr. Osborne has mentioned this nature of competitiveness. When we were looking at, Ben and I looked at raising council's wages, one of the points that we looked at was not only do wages make races more competitive, but do terms make, the length of term make for a more competitive environment? I wish I could tell you that the answer was definitive. It was not, but it certainly was suggestive. And I think if all of us have at our core this notion of accountability and elections are accountable, then a 4-year term might speak to that requirement. May not, but it might. And I would also say, as I've often said ad nauseum, try it. Doesn't work, you can change it back. Go to the voters and ask, hey, we tried this experiment. Sorry, Dave, experiment. It didn't work. And we'll go back to 2 years. We've tried it. So my comment is this: I think based upon my experience, I think you're going to have a more productive council, going to be more focused, less opportunity for mischief, electoral mischief, and in better shape to get, again, might be more candidates on that. So I'm going to urge everybody to vote here.
I'd like to add a comment also. So along those lines, I think the best part of this is the fact that all of these are going to be submitted to the voters of North Canton to make their ultimate decision. My concern, and I stated it at the very beginning of our term, was that this council could, in fact, in one single election, completely turn over and all new people. There needs to be some sort of consistency and continuity bringing the council forward for that voice. For those reasons, and the fact that the residents of North Canton will make that choice, I support the 4-year term.
To emphasize David's point for those who are listening, because we're going to split this up between the ward councilman and the at-large councilman and mayor. So we're going to have two flights. So to Dave's point, there should be some corporate memory left in place after an election.
Right. And I was going to add, and I was going to touch on the very first point that you made, Dave, is that, out of all 6 of these, is this the one that I feel the strongest about? Frankly, no. But at the end of the day, I feel strongly enough to take this to the voters who are the ultimate decision makers. It's not those of us sitting here making the decision. It is the voters that have put us in these seats. So the other thing, I guess, about it being a side hustle, I've got friends with side hustles. This has to be the lowest paying side hustle out of all my friends with side hustles. But I'm here to serve, and I want to be clear that I'm here to serve the residents of the city of North Canton, not for a side hustle. That's it.
Just to cover, I think anybody who's in public service knows this is not a side hustle. And I don't think we have to debate that further. But the one thing I will say, and it kind of goes to your point, is just this last election, we experienced a lot of newness. And it wasn't because people, were pitted against each other. Some of us ran uncontested. Some of us, we weren't beating those that were already in office. You were just ran against other people. And that could happen again, where we all just say, we've had enough, and we're gonna leave. And then that leaves a lot of open positions at one time. So I do think it's a really good idea. And I think it keeps people focused for a lot longer. And some around us are doing it the same way. So this isn't something new and different. We're just kind of going along with what we think is right now. So
I think only 2 of us had competition.
right.
I ran against 2 other people.
Right.
I think you ran against 1, and the rest were all unopposed.
We had 4 in the at-large race.
Yeah.
Oh, did we have 4 in there?
4 for 3.
4
But
for 3.
like, it just wasn't.
Yeah,
And
it should be
against
more
people,
than that.
Yeah.
Just as there should be more than 35%.
And it was
or
those of us
40%.
that were sitting here, it was their choice to leave.
Right,
That wasn't it either. So
so,
I made a second to approve this.
yeah, so I definitely
Okay.
am in favor of this. So if I can have a second.
Movement second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 48-2022?
Second, I move.
We're doing nothing.
Oh, no, this is not the one. That's right, I already have it all.
Motion fails for want of a motion.
Yep,
Well,
so,
we do
yep,
need to read it.
Yeah,
Pardon?
you need
Oh, we
read
do have to
then
read it.
You do have to read it?
yeah.
All right, then
And
it's
then
been
if you
moved to read. I will motion to second the
All in
third
favor?
reading.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of simplifying the notice requirements imposed on the clerk of council for special meetings of city council.
Okay, John?
Well, this is the third reading. So if I can get a motion, but I'm not in favor of this.
I think it's one that can wait.
I think it can wait too.
Sorry, Ben.
And what would be the process for it waiting? Since this has been brought by the Charter Review Commission, are we allowed to simply table it and bring it back up at a later date? Does this have to go through another Charter Review Commission? How does that work?
Council could bring it back up whenever it sees
Bring it back in the
fit.
fall.
Okay,
In the fall,
next-
so next year,
Next fall.
for next fall.
do you simply table it or?
Just let it die.
No,
for-
Let
it
it
can
die.
die on the floor due to
Okay.
for now. But as Ben has noted, there's a constitutional clock that runs on these, correct? It is what, 120 days for the election?
So metaphorically, it's called a shot clock. You have to pass it 120 days before the filing date of before the election itself. Otherwise, we'd have to call a special election.
Which we don't want to do.
We don't
because
want to
that's
do, it'll be
very
costly
expensive.
and stuff
So-
of that nature.
So Mr. Young will have this on his follow-up calendar for next spring,
Okay.
correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, do I have a motion? Okay, seeing none, this measure will fail due to lack of a motion. So moving on, can I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 49-2022?
The vote will move.
Yes.
Clarification, so the difference between tabling something and letting it die for lack of motion. Tabling it, I understand that you can bring it back. Letting it die for lack of motion suggests that it's defeated and then you can't bring it back, like you would table it. Is that correct?
Correct. They would have to restart the legislature.
So I just wanted to make sure council understands. On the other ones, your intent is to table or to let it die.
Yep, thank you. Okay. Where did we,
We have to do C now.
okay. Did we,
I don't know.
yeah, okay, so
You
we
asked for a
died.
motion
Did we
to-
get the motion?
I will move we read by title only ordinance 49-22 to read.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
An ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of clarifying the legislative process of the city of North Canton and establishing distinct differences between ordinances and a resolution.
This would be quite lengthy to put on the ballot, and I don't really think it's that important of a thing. I think the voters already know this. And again, I am totally against this.
Second?
Just the, what's that?
Are you making a motion to table it?
I felt like that's what that was. You think it's more clear?
Well,
Well, we can't do a motion to defeat it. We're,
Right,
okay,
that's
yeah,
what I mean.
okay, gotcha.
I mean, what do you, yeah, I mean, you're seconding what? I didn't make. a
I was
motion.
thinking second that you were making a motion to table it.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
We're just not going to read it?
Yeah,
No,
it's not
just don't
gonna-
read it.
There's just not gonna be a motion, I
Okay.
think, if that's what everybody wants.
What is the motion on the floor?
there is none.
Is there a motion to move this forward?
To adopt the third
to
reading
adopt.
of ordinance 49-22. Is there a motion?
Seeing none, this measure will fail due to lack of a motion. Moving on, can I have a motion or a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 50-2022?
The vote will move.
Now, second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ben?
An ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of eliminating the requirement that legislation be published in a newspaper.
All right, this cost us a lot of money throughout the year, so it'll be a big savings. And this is the third reading. Ben does a great job notifying us, notifying everybody. So I definitely make a motion that we move this to the voters.
Before
Have
we
some comments
cast
first.
that vote, very quickly, Ben, would you summarize what the clerk's office does to inform the public regarding ordinances and resolutions that are adopted by this council?
So under this amendment, what would be required is that the full text of legislation be available within 48 hours of final action. So in most cases, that'd be whether the mayor signs it, vetoes it, or lets it go. And
Available
then
where?
on our website. And then title, so essentially the publication we currently put in the repository, instead of being on the repository, would have to be posted on the bulletin board here at council chambers and at City Hall. Additionally to that, every week we publish weekly council bulletins following your meetings that are text and email subscribable, that summarizes, what happened that week, and if legislation is in its final form, we put in a hyperlink in there actually that you can click on, view the final legislation. It'll take you right to it.
Plus, we make all the council is on the web and they can watch. They would learn that way as well.
Sort of ancillary. Also, every council meeting's live stream. We also post every bulletin to our Facebook and Twitter and things like that. So just sort of indirect ways to get there.
Okay, any other comments?
I have the motion.
Vote will second the motion to adopt.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And could I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 51-2022?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of eliminating the budget deadlines of May 15th for revenues and June 15th for expenses.
All right, third reading. This is gonna make Gina's job a lot easier. The budget will be done by the, 29th of December, is that? It'll be done before
The initial budget, the tax budget is due by August 20th.
August
and
20th.
The permanent budget is due by December 31st.
And we've always meant those, but these dates here just add more confusion, more pressure, and it's not needed. Or it is needed, excuse me. It is needed, very. So I make a motion that we pass this.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Ben, can I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 52-2022?
I'll move that we read 52-2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance to submit to the electors of the city of North Canton a charter amendment for the purpose of permitting council to call charter review commissions more frequently than every 10 years.
John?
Well, again, this would be very lengthy in reading for the voters. I really, if we really need to, we don't need to do this right now, as I'm seeing it. It's asking too much of the voters, voter fatigue again. And we've gotten along pretty good with this so far. So maybe next year we add this, but for this year, I'm not for it.
Any comments? I believe this can wait too, as well. Is there a motion to adopt the third reading of ordinance 52-2022? Okay, seeing none, this measure fails due to lack of a motion. Moving on to ordinance 54-2022, can I have a motion and a second to read by title only ordinance 54-2022?
Vote will move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Ben?
An ordinance amending chapter 1739 violations and abatement of the codified ordinances of the city of North Canton in order to simplify the abatement procedure for violations of section 1507.07 of the codified ordinances and declaring the same to be an emergency.
Okay, Darrell?
Very good, thank you. This ordinance compresses the period for enforcement of weed and grass violations or potential weed and grass violations. We had a question come up today about the timing, and what I'd like to do is two things. Number one, look to the administration for an explanation of the amendment that I'm going to make in just a few moments for this. So, Patrick, if you go ahead.
So I think there may have been some initial questions. First, when will the administration actually make the call to cut some of these grass? So we opted to verify the language a little bit better, rather than use hours, using business days. So day, I want business. By the time we go to your property, your grass is already beyond the limit, which is, so it hasn't been mowed for a while. Now we show up and we say, hey, we're gonna come back in 2 days. If you haven't cut it, we're gonna issue you a citation. So we come back in 2 days, we look at it, cut or it hasn't been cut. Now we're gonna give you a citation in 2 business days. First one was 2 business days, the second one was 2 business days. After that second business day, the next morning, some people cut their grass at night, later in the evening when they go. And if it isn't done that morning, then the call is made. So 4 full business days to get the grass cut. So for all intents and purposes, somebody that's going to get a citation on a Tuesday, we're not going to show up until the following Monday. They'll have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, full day Friday. See if they've cut their grass. Next business day will be Monday. It's a holiday, that is part of the weekend, so it would be. So I think it gives them a little bit more time, which I think the council was perhaps looking for, but not so much time that we stretch this process out into weeks. Dealt with one today that the grass was over 5.5 feet tall. It's taken. We got it cut today. That was the nature of the explanation. And then, as far as we just didn't, want to assure council that our intent is not to play the heavy hand here. And I think our stats kind of show it. We've had 121 grass and weed complaints so far this year. That's a lot. And it's been a month since we had any decent rain. The calls still come in. And we have to do them. We spend on those 121 calls, 178 visits to those 121 places. And those visits take time. Take a lot of time from our department. That's all they do for, and it shouldn't be all that they do. But we have to get this part of this is to get a better handle. But of those 121 instances, approximately 6 ended up where we had to have somebody come in. So it's about 5%. So 95% of the time we're able to get compliance through our knock and talk approach, get voluntary compliance, and that's our goal. We really prefer that. The city's not out making any money. There's no money to be made here. It's all. Okay. When did you know that?
Currently, as it is, how long would it take you, like, so say you came and knocked at my house and said it was high grass, how long would it take you now with the way things are written?
Somewhere north of 4 weeks.
Wow.
Because of the notice.
We're talking conceivably 4 business days versus 4 weeks. That's how you get 5 foot tall grass.
John,
And, yeah.
finish, Jamie? I'm sorry.
Yes.
John, any questions or comments?
None whatsoever. We need to move forward with this.
David?
I appreciate administration working on adjusting this. I think that it's twofold. 30 days is way too long. I think allowing a resident to get through a weekend to remedy the situation is a good thing, a good compromise. And it's easy now to tell a resident that is concerned or complaining about grass not being mowed or weeds that are out of control or poison ivy or whatever the case may be, that it will be remedied next week. It's an easy answer and it's a consistent one. It will be done next week under this. So, thank you.
Very good. Mr. Storia?
I'm good with it.
No, I like the new wording.
Very good.
Yep, me too.
Okay. What I'd like to do at this time then is make a motion to amend this ordinance, 54-22, in 3 places. The first is on page 2 of, does everyone have a copy of this or no?
Yes.
The amendments, okay. On page 2, section 173901, 3, it says 2 business days. That's the amendment. In section 173903A, you'll notice it says 2 business days. And then finally, in section 173903F, 3, 2 business days. And I would also point out to Patrick's comment, and I've read this, I freely admit that I practice law without a license. I would draw your attention to 173903A, the code official may. So again, it's not shall, it's may. Again, we're trying to work with the residents to resolve these issues. And I think Patrick's stats suggest that's the spirit of the ordinance. So I've made a motion to amend.
I will second the motion to amend.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I have a motion and a second to adopt the first reading of ordinance 54-2022?
As amended.
As amended.
Revolt moves.
Second.
I have a discussion on this. Was this going to be passed on an emergency?
Yes.
Okay, because if we go all 3 readings,
You're
it's
in,
all gone. We're into fall.
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, let's get let me just reread that part. Can I have a motion and a second to adopt the first reading of ordinance 54-2022 as amended?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules of council requesting 3 readings?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And can I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 54-2022 under suspension of the rules?
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving on to department reports. Deputy Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to say it's summer and all our areas are out there working really hard, streets, changing sewer, parks and rec, busy time. And workers supplementing work. Can't do it without them. We're getting a lot done. Along the lines, we have up there 2 openings that are on our website right now. We have a sanitary sewer full-time opening at water distribution position. So there because we have one gentleman moving out of the area. We have another employee that started here, a summer worker back in '88, working another summer in '89, and then full-time since 1990, so 32 years. He will be retiring July 31st. And since our next council meeting, not till August 15th, so thought I would mention that. His name's John Minger, been here 32 years, so we'll give him a nice send-off. He's decided to retire effective July 31st. Also, since we won't be back till the 15th, Carrie, I'm sure you're gonna talk about Main Street Festival? Sure. We're gonna have a city booth there. So at our city booth, we plan to have some conditions of what our parks could be. And we're gonna have information on the park survey. We also are hosting a Camp What If, Pod Camp What If, which is a camp for our bright little middle schoolers. And last year we did it and we did a little government legislative camp for them. It's just a 2-day thing, just an hour, it's not a full day. They're gonna do that again, but they also want they want a Parks and Recs version. So we'll host that over at Dogwood, and we're gonna have them, on one side learn how to operationally handle Parks and Recs, and get them out there and teach them how to, I don't know, clean up, blow leaves, put some, bright jackets on them, maybe recruit some future summer workers. And then the other ones will be working on park planning and development. They're our user group. What do you want to see? What do you like? What do you not like? And then we're doing that the week of August 9th. So at the Main Street Festival at the booth, we might be able to incorporate some of the things they came up with. So excited about that. That's all, other than I had a meeting with Stark Sewer and Water Conservation District, and we have set up Saturday, September 17th, the creek cleanup. They always pick somewhere in Stark County, and it's going to be ours in Verditch. So they'll.
And you said, what was the date?
Saturday, September 17th. We'll push more information out. They'll look for volunteers. It's a big day. They feed you lunch. They give a little feedback on what to do, and then they go down and they different job. That's all I have.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Director of Administration.
Just 2 notes. First, I would, if you are receiving any phone calls concerning natural gas aggregation, we should be pushing out information on that, I believe, by the end of the month. Auction 2 weeks ago at a price. So we're going to start pushing that information out. Be aware that there are third-party solicitors canvassing the city to try to get people to sign up. A number of those stop in at City Hall. And, important differences to understand, their rate is 12-month rate and variable month to month thereafter. That's the other side. Ours is a fixed rate for 48 months, cannot change. Theirs has a $150 termination fee. Ours, you can opt out at any time. Termination fee. What's important about this termination fee is that the correspondence that I read today from the constituent that had come in, they were solicited at their home. This couple is quite retired, and so they were confused. They believed that they signed up. And the correspondence that they then received suggested that you call in to fix your rate. When you call in to fix your rate, you've now triggered the 12-month lockup, and to get out, it would cost you $150. So, very fine print you have to read, but helped get this client through it. They were also soliciting for electric aggregation as well, but our program runs from 2021 to 2025 also. Just to let you know, and if you get any calls, you can certainly forward them to the administration. We'll be happy to. Second is also a very positive thing to share with council. And so I have to thank council for their assistance in helping us in our budget last year, obtaining a specific piece of equipment. So that piece of equipment was the street paving device. If you recall, we decided to acquire the machine. It was approximately $280,000 for that. Came with all the attachments, so we can also mill out inch and a half of the existing soil and pave it, put it down. It too was subjected to pandemic delays. There were attachments that we couldn't get when we got the machine. We had to wait for them to get off the boat. They finally came, and unfortunately that was the milling apparatus, so we needed that. And then we had the company that we bought it from come in and do a day training on it, teaching us how to use it. And over the weekend, late last week, into the weekend, we put it to use. And so first alley that we did, and that was the primary reason to buy it, is that the alleys are not getting serviced. My experience in being around government, this government for 20 years, is that alleys never get paid. Rarely get paid because if we have a limited budget on what we're paving, it's going to be streets that people are really driving on. So the alleys are neglected, we recognize that. So we did a part of Royer Avenue, Royer Avenue, right? Yeah, between Harmon and West Maple. And it was a great one to practice on, to see how it goes. So if you're out and about that way, you take a drive on it, you'll see. And so we established a schedule with the street department, working with the city engineer on where we're going next. And we feel we have a couple more practice ones that we want to do before we get to the main attraction, which is Baker Court. So we want to do Baker from Harmon, Pitzer, all the way to that. So we want to make sure that we understand the machine really well before we get to that one. And then as time goes on, if it turns out to be, you know, a section of maybe, let's say, mentioned before, down on Rose Lane, John, certain parts of that road are showing too many spider cracks, they call them. And it's a sign of, you know, the road is going to deteriorate quickly once water gets in it in the winter, freezes, expands, gets a lot worse, a lot faster. And this device that we own now will do 13-foot widths. So we could do a lane for maybe, you know, 100 feet or 200 feet. I mean, there's no limit on how long you can go, just how wide you can go. And the idea would be to help augment with Rob what we can do and not have to tack that onto a big package. So typically when we try to do our streets, we try to, it makes more sense, we get more bang for our buck if we can kind of congregate the streets together, and that's not always possible, but we try to. One of the big costs in any project, but particularly road paving projects, is mobilization, getting the parts and pieces here. And if they're on one side of town, the northeast, and then they have to run down to the southwest and then over to the northwest, it just drives our costs up too much. So this could help in those instances where we need something to happen, but doesn't work out, that it does congregating it with any of the other streets. I just share that with you. That concludes my
Great.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you.
Mayor Wilder.
Yes, just to follow up on that, our alleys are also very narrow. And as he said about getting equipment in there, heavy equipment is not always permissible. So having this piece of unit here for us allows us to get into those narrow areas. But yes, council, good evening, and welcome to our visitors and the young man there from Troop 12 working on citizenship and the community merit badge. And I just want to make a note here on several things. I want to thank the Charter Review Commission members, you know, for their time and recommendations that they've shared with council, and council has reviewed and is going forth with what you've approved tonight for a public vote. So I want to thank all the members who took their time to make these suggestions and for council to go forward with what you proposed tonight. This last week in July is always busy. We had our North Canton JC Fair, our fireworks, and our JC Parade. Longtime community events for us, and they all went well and were safe and secure. I checked with the fire department. There were no EMS calls for injuries due to fireworks over the weekend. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. And I also checked with the police department in regards to disturbance calls for fireworks reported. From July 1st through July 5th, we had 11 calls for service. And those were mostly, again, fireworks related, okay, noise disturbance. And the community cooperated because these incidents, either our officers couldn't find it when they arrived, or they found it, talked with the people, they handled it by the officer, as we call it, and just had a verbal warning, or they worked out, say, to take care of this and make sure it's in a safe, you're doing your fireworks in a safe manner. Just for your information, from that July 1st through, actually, almost through July 7th, we had 3 calls on the southeast side, 2 calls on the southwest side, 2 in the northeast side, and 3 in the northwest side. So our northeast quadrant, the Zoic ward, had the lowest calls. But I want to thank our police department for handling that in a very tactful way this year. And kudos, I guess, to the public for doing it in a safe manner. I know we had fireworks, but at least it was done in a safe manner. I'd like to continue on. Well, one of my goals was to provide a safe environment for our older adults in the community who really desired a dedicated space for fellowship and enrichment. I always thought the North Canton Civic Center would be a perfect location for any number of community activities, especially for our senior community. Beginning Tuesday, this last Tuesday, July the 5th, the North Canton Public Library began their launch of a twice-week series of programs designed for older adults. And working in cooperation with the city, the library will be hosting a variety of programs at the North Canton Civic Center here at 845 West Maple Street on Tuesdays and Thursdays each week from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. All programs will be free of charge and will range in topics from history to music to arts and crafts. Each day will start with an hour of gentle chair yoga, followed by a coffee break, and then 2 hours of dedicated programming. This city administration had approached the library earlier this year and mentioned that we were hearing from older adults in the community who really desired a dedicated place for, again, fellowship and enrichment. The library recently hired a young lady who's going to handle this in the position of outreach associate. And she's going to help facilitate some of those activities and oversee the development of those programs. I'd also like to make you aware, again, if not, at the Civic Center, we also have a senior card club. That room is right over here as you walk in. And that can be reserved free of charge. And it is a euchre club. Only euchre, folks. I just want to make that clear. And it's already active, and it meets on Thursdays from 11:30 to 3:30 right over here. And the group is always looking to add new euchre players. I confirmed that with the organizer of the euchre club, okay? And if you have a group or other than the card that's interested in reserving a space to play on a different date or time, again, just please contact Tracy Cole at our city administration. And she's at extension 1006 for the public. If you're, again, we have a wonderful program with the cooperation of Know Your Roots, Know Your Own Roots, the founders of the North Canton Farmers Market. We've moved the farmers market here to the Civic Center, and we've created really a welcoming indoor and outdoor site for the vendors and public to go shopping. And it's really been a big hit for the community. They really like that. And I'll share one other thing to you. Actually, tomorrow I'll be here to listen to M.J. Albichetti. Many of you may know him from our North Canton, or Greater Stark County community. He's the Executive Director Emeritus of the Canton Museum of Art, and he'll be our featured speaker tomorrow for a program titled Liberty Enlightening the World. And that's on Tuesday, July the 12th at 12:30 here at the Civic Center. I look forward to maybe him being one of the good starts to our programs for the Civic Center. And again, Mr. Albichetti's afternoon lecture is part of that North Canton Public Library and the city of North Canton's expansion. Free programs for older adults have taken place here each Tuesdays and Thursday here at the North Canton Civic Center. And got to give it to the library. They know how to throw a party on Thursdays. So just remember, we got 3 more events here on the 14th, 21st, the 28th for their North Canton Summer Series on music and good food. I want to give compliments to our North Canton Police Department Community Engagement Team. If you're not aware, on Saturday, July the 16th. It's right around the corner. They're going to sponsor a bike rodeo, and it's going to be on Saturday, July the 16th, from 9 to noon, right over here at Zion Lutheran Church, the corner of Lindy Lane and Portage. And again, Ernie's Bike Shop's going to be on hand for bike inspections and repairs. They have a couple events planned for ages 2 to 5. So if you have a tricycler, okay, good place to be on a Saturday morning. And also from 5 to 14 years of age. And they got to have face painting, even some helmet decoration. I don't know if the safety poster contest is going to come off, but it's there. And also our own DJ, Officer Mike Ataya, is going to be writing some music up there for the event. So again, the bike road is for kids to practice their skills and learn about safety and become better cyclists and avoid typical crashes that they might encounter. And just want to give a shout out again to the police department community engagement team. If you're not aware, another thing that's really happening a lot is on Sunday, July the 24th, the Hoover Park Festival. That's year number 2 for this. And it's a family, it's a free event for families. They're going to have Hoover historic presentations, as well as garden related talks. It's all going to be taking place at the Historic Hall right there at in Hoover Park. And it's going to go from 1 to 5. And again, it's just an extension of what Boss Hoover used to do when he brought his salesman in many, many years ago. And they would converse out there for about a week to 10 days, camping in tents, and going through all about sales promotions and things like this. So the Heritage Society out there is, or Historical Society is bringing that to back. So just so you know, and I'll leave the North Canton Festival maybe to our guest over there, Main Street Festival for Carrie. Just an FYI, again, by the time we get back, the first day of grade school is going to start right around August the 19th for North Canton schools, and then St. Paul's will be starting right around September, that second week in September. We're going to have an officer that's going to be leading us for a while, and he did this once before, and that's Officer Zach Forwalder. Zach is a member of the United States Army National Guard, and he did one deployment in the Middle East, and his unit is being called up again for another duty call. And so Zach will be leaving us here by the end of the month. And we just, hope the best for him to come back. And I know when he came back the first time, he jumped right in, and we were glad to have him back. So something, for Zach, just think of him as he's out there doing his service to not only his community, but to his nation. So thank you for the time to indulge me with what I had to say tonight. And again, you think about Christina, hopefully she's recovering well. And until we meet again, stay safe and keep well. And I appreciate everybody's activity tonight in getting our legislation going for our term. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Director of Finance.
I just wanted to make a mention of the 2021 audit report is complete. It is with the state auditor's office, so it hasn't been released yet. As soon as it is, I'll email a copy. There were no findings for recovery, no material statements, clean audit report.
Gina, there were no what? I'm sorry.
No findings for recovery, no material misstatements, clean audit report.
Thank you.
I'll repeat that again and again and again. To touch on the second quarter finance report, I know you see these numbers every month, but some of the things we kind of try to true up as the quarter ends, and through halfway through the year, our income taxes is reporting 11%, an increase of 11%. So at this point in the time, we're really comparing back to almost 2019, which is pre-COVID. And so I say we're up 11%, but on the natural curve of things, if we were normalized over the past 2 years, then we would be pretty much on target. So I don't have any budget amendments to bring to you today, which is also good news. We're looking at the distribution between withholding, net profit, and that's right on target as well. So I don't see anything coming through that's going to cause us to make any changes there. And then I just wanted to touch on our investments because we are seeing rates increase. They're creeping up short term. Everyone's still a little bit nervous about what's going on in the market. So we're staying pretty conservative at this point, taking advantage of some things when we can. We're 82% invested, which just means our cash flow is, we keep that under 20 if we can. 82% is invested. Our portfolio yield right now is 1.55%. Not really super exciting, but it's over the 1 mark, so that's good. And our duration is 1.94 years, which just means we spread out between 0 months and 5 years. And so our average is 1.94. So we're still on the lower end. And as the long-term rates, the bond yields start to increase, then we'll invest in some longer-term things as well. And then, of course, attached to the quarter report has the monthly, the quarter to date, the revenue report, the statement of cash, the check report. So if you had any questions.
Thank you, Gina. Clerk of Council.
Report, unless there are any questions for me. Otherwise, enjoy baking.
All right, thank you, Ben, Chamber President.
Good evening, everyone. I have a couple things to go over as far as business goes in the city. I talked to Michael Lucky Ewing of New Berlin Brewing. They are planning on opening by the beginning of August. They're just waiting on some pieces and parts, an electrical panel and brewing equipment. They are possibly going to partner with another brewery to start brewing their beer. And M&H Beans are on the same kind of line, probably going to open in beginning of August. I did talk to Tom Colt today about Sir Troy's moving out by the end of the year. So they've got a little bit of time before they get into all of that. And so it's 9,100 square feet, and there's no one in line yet to actually come in, but we're going to look to see about bringing in another business for them. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Are you okay? I think so. Yeah, I'm okay. Main Street Festival is August 13th, and we're really excited about that. We've got vendors still coming in, and so that's July 20th. We'll stop those coming in and start planning for the layout. And we have the Escape Journey Tribute Band coming in. They'll be playing from 8 to 10 that evening, which we're really excited to have them. And we've got wrestling coming back this year, so that's exciting. 720 Market is going to be doing their barbecue on the north end of Main Street. So we're excited about having them back again. And then we also are going to have lots more food vendors. We were late on that last year, so we're super excited to have food vendors coming. We're also planning our chocolate walk, which will be September 24th. Those plans are coming along really well, and tickets will go on sale middle of August. And then we have our New Berlin Fest coming October 8th, which we're really excited about as well. We're going to be celebrating the origins of our city and doing a nice Oktoberfest with food and beer and polka music. We're going to have the Sheridan Polka Band play on the Penthorn stage, so we're really excited about that. And then we have Winterfest December 3rd, and we'll be doing our typical pop-up on City Portico and tree lighting and performances, so we're really excited about all of that. Lots of good things coming up. If anybody has time and wants to volunteer for any of those events, let me know. We can always use the help, and it's great for the city residents to see all of your faces, so we're excited about that as well. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Harry.
Thanks.
All right, let's move on to council reports. Ward 1, Jamie.
Thank you. Actually, I just wanted a couple things. In July 4th weekend, I think you touched on it, Mayor. Talk about some amazing activities in the city of North Canton. Of course, I had just been coming off of having COVID. Actually, the entire family had COVID, which was fun, but I still wanted to get out there and do the 5 mile run with the YMCA. They always put on a great event. So I want to thank them for the event that they put on. And of course, maybe I'm a bit partial as a life member of the North Canton JCs, but again, great parade that they did and the fireworks. So I just thought it was a great weekend. Lots of exciting things happening here in town. Find myself super excited for the Main Street Festival. My wife and I have talked multiple times about the Journey Tribute Band. We're looking very much forward to attending that. So, but lots of exciting things happening, and I just want to thank those groups that are involved in them. So that's all I have for my report.
All right, thank you, Jamie. Ward 2, David.
Okay, so on the personnel and safety side, congratulations goes out to Matt King. He was sworn in by Mayor Wilder back on June 27th. We were off on the 4th, so this is my first opportunity to mention that. But congratulations to Matt. And also, Matt is a full-time police officer. So I guess he's doing a double duty there. But in essence, it is giving more back to the city. So congratulations, Matt, and thank you for that. With recess coming up for the summer, I do want to mention that even though council is off, I am still available via phone, text, email, Teams. If there's something that you need, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
they will.
Yep.
Right?
Ward 3. Stephanie.
Yeah, they're great about that. And I think that's the nice thing too, is even though we say we're on vacation, I don't know if there's one time that we haven't met, during that time where you said, hey, we need something to happen. And everybody's really responsive for getting together. So it might not be on a Monday night. It's usually kind of when everybody can meet, morning, afternoon. But we make things continue to happen. So yeah, as Jamie and the mayor and other people have said, that weekend was a lot of fun. We had friends in from New York City, and we've been to the fireworks a number of times, and they were just great again. But it was really neat to see fireworks really from all over the community and see people truly out and about and back in, when you had to kind of guess who was lighting first, who was going next, and compare. So that was really neat. Catherine, you said that email that you had received from the people at the park. We just keep hearing those things. And so the fact that all of our parks are being used is a huge asset. We were, my son was playing in a golf outing of Glen Oak students, past Glen Oak students at Arrowhead this weekend. And you just keep hearing really great reviews about that. But I was most excited because I think he played Friday morning and their outing was Saturday. But he said at 7:30, the pickleball courts were like packed. And by 8:30, like lines and people. And I haven't officially played. I went to go stare at them. But I played a number of times last week at the other courts. And just again, seeing the families that are there from, someone maybe that's in second grade to playing with their grandparents and then all between. It's just, it's really nice to kind of see what everybody's doing. So yeah, we're just getting a lot of use and a lot of really great things happening. And I'm glad we were able to move the amendment from the Charter Review Committee and their wishes forward. That's an important committee. And I think maybe, even though we couldn't include that, I think there are ways we can definitely get people to convene and get recommendations and insight, maybe not as formally, but to definitely include the community as well in that. So we're not going to do without that input. So thanks.
Thank you, Stephanie. John, Ward 4.
Well, I want to thank the administration. There are a lot of alleys in the fourth ward, so we appreciate everything there and being, and knowing the problems on some of the streets in the fourth ward. I think at the last council meeting, I called the pickleball courts and the golf course the crown jewel of the fourth ward. Actually, it's probably the crown jewel of the city. There's a lot going on there. And, with them playing pickleball, the tennis courts, swimming, everyone is moving in and they're enjoying beverages, dinner, lunches. So that will also help the city.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Then sitting on the 4th of July, the 4th of July is one of my favorite holidays. You're sitting on the parade route. Mayor, you sort of slowed things up this year. I didn't want to bring that up, but no, we really appreciate the time.
I was waiting for someone to probably say that.
You should have took a golf cart. No, that was a great thing. And as I'm sitting there watching the parade, I'm talking to people around me. All right. Do you live in North Canton? No. Where do you live? Carrollton. Where do you live? Sebring. Where do you live? Akron. They love this parade. And it's probably the third or fourth largest parade in Stark County. You know, you got the two big ones with the Hall of Fame, and but it's amazing. People are coming to our city, and they're enjoying the door. I saw numerous people having a beverage on that holiday, so that's working out good. And the more people with the chamber's help, getting more people downtown, it's going to be a great time down there. So again, thanks, Pat, for all you guys do. And that's the report from the Fourth Ward.
All right, thank you, Jim. Daryl, you're up.
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to echo Stephanie's comment. I was out on my morning walk. The clerk believes I wander aimlessly. With some truth to that. But I was swung through the pickleball area this morning at Arrowhead about 9:30 a.m. And every court was full. And there were probably 25 or 30 people standing waiting to play. So
They have to, and pickleball people have to know the rules.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you have to move on after your game.
yes, and
Yes.
they were flushing them right through. We were pretty impressed.
On-screen.
What was interesting was that our municipal team was there's the picture from this
Yeah.
morning.
Is that it?
Yeah, and so we were down there, and again, it's just a great ad for our community. What's really important though is the fact I met Steve DePietro and our municipal team were together planning some things in terms of repair. So that conversation is occurring. There's a good team effort, and this is the result of it. I want to say I want to give a public shout out to John Orr for his leadership on the charter committee. It was a good group that he recruited.
Yeah.
He had terrific support from our clerk and our legal team, and I think at the end of the day, we've got a good product, and it's been said, we'll leave it to the voters. We'll go from there. We've talked about the parade. We've talked about some of the events that are here in town. All this stuff that we're doing, what's it all about? I had a conversation with Kathy Freena this morning. Do you have the house picture?
Yeah.
This is really why we're trying to pay attention to what this city's like. This is the before house, 128,870. That's the after house, Zillow-esque 325. That's North Canton. My point is, all these little things, paving, pickleball, parades, police. How's that for alliteration? All of those things matter at the end of the day. We have a choice in the community. We are going to improve things, to create conditions that improve them, and encourage investment, or we're going to let it be someplace else. So I think this is just absolutely astonishing. Now, again, that's the asking price. I'm not sure I don't know what will
I don't
happen,
know. They're going for it.
but that's it. And I think, as we look at our economic development and we look at, what we want to do maybe down the road for housing, we may have some pretty interesting ideas. So at any rate, the only other final thing I would say, and this goes to Carrie, I just want to remind you regarding that new Berlin Fest, that we Germans are a very sober lot, So plan accordingly.
We're planning accordingly.
All right. I'm sure Patrick's got some flex cuffs for me. So that's my report.
All right. Thank you for keeping it clean. I don't have too much that hasn't been talked about already, but I do want to talk about 4th of July because for some reason my family always scheduled vacation and leaves for 4th of July. So we didn't this time. We waited for a couple days after. And I don't know why we always leave. It doesn't make sense because that's my favorite day. And to go to the parade and start the day off that way, and then all the little things that are going on, and then the fireworks, it's great. And like John said, there's people from everywhere. There were people from Akron, Carrollton. I mean, Carrollton's not that big. And you saw someone there and I saw someone there. It's pretty crazy. And you know, the charter commission, the people that were on there, I think that is important that we thank them. There was good discussion. I went to all those meetings and those were caught out. I mean, they were carefully thought out and discussed thoroughly. For the ones that we didn't put forward, it's not because they weren't a bad idea. It's not to offend any of them. It's just, you know, we were concerned about voter fatigue. So I think there will be some time for us to get those back on, and you know, Ben will set a reminder for us, and we'll get back on track for those. That's all I've got.
I think Patrick, is your hand up, Patrick, on one more item? Oh, me too?
Yeah, but you.
Okay, I will, and you can supplement. Just one final report. As we go into summer recess, many people often ask what's going on at the Hoover Company. You may recall last October, Stu Lichter was in town. He indicated the critical nature of the historic preservation tax credit. The Ohio Department of Development has made that award in late June. The Director of Development was here with a tour. The mixed use activity is still planned. I would only caution that we are still awaiting plans. None have been submitted and none have been reviewed. But the important part is that the city is in regular communication with the IRG team, Maple Street Commerce, and when and if it completes its work, we're ready to pick up for the next phase. But again, we're prisoners of its calendar. So, Patrick, did I leave anything out?
No, I just make sure we emphasize, you know, the mayor has been in regular
Contact,
with
absolutely.
the designated point person. We should keep in mind that in previous years, under previous administrations, there was no point person. Was dealing with, you know, Stu directly, and you know, we think that, and I think he acknowledges that that's kind of a problem. So we have a project manager that communicates with the mayor on a regular basis, and we were invited over to the doings to see what it was all about. And Daryl's point, there are many discussions that will be taking place if and when the time the plans are submitted, and how we can assure the community that this project can move forward, but certain that there'll be an ask of the city when that time comes. That may happen at this point during the break, giving the impression that time is of the essence. Material costs rising, interest rates rising.
So while we're talking, nice job on the Kmart property, all down, went by there. How soon for the car wash to start construction, do you think?
I would say that, you know, in the next month or two, we will see, you know, the next phase of the project probably start. They're just tidying up a little bit. I think they'll be done this week up there with materials. We're gonna leave the fence up though. We think that if we can get started with construction, the fence will need to stay up to kind of keep people from getting into the construction zone. So you'll note that fence stays intact.
Good job.
Thank you for the question.
All right. Moving on to the calendar. The next meeting will be August 15th. It will be committee of the whole and a city council meeting. And followed by the 22nd, a regular council meeting, and the 29th would be, I would assume, a fifth Monday, so no meeting. Any questions about the calendar?
Nope.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Revolt moves.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Adjourned.